Hello, and welcome back to the Dusty Codex. To understand this story, you must first understand the land. The Armenian highlands are a fortress built by nature. It is a world of towering volcanic peaks, deep gorges, and high-altitude lakes. It is a land that demands toughness from anyone who dares to live there. We are always curious to know where our stories are traveling to, and where your corner of the world is. Please, take a moment to let us know in the comments where you are watching from today. In the 9th century BC, this land gave birth to a superpower, the Kingdom of Urartu. Known in the Bible as Ararat, this kingdom was the great northern rival of the terrifying Assyrian Empire. While Assyria ruled the plains, Urartu ruled the mountains. The Urartians were master engineers. Their capital, Tushpa, on the shores of Lake Van, was a marvel. They cut massive fortifications directly into the living rock. They built irrigation canals that are still in use today, turning the dry highlands into lush gardens. They were also masters of metal. Urartian bronze cauldrons, shields, and helmets were famous throughout the ancient world, exported as far as Greece and Etruria. They were a civilization of warriors and artisans, forging a culture that would outlast their kingdom. But like all empires, Urartu fell. In the 6th century BC, weakened by constant wars, they were overrun by Scythians and Medes. The fortresses were burned. The kingdom vanished from the maps, but the people did not. From the ashes of Urartu, a new identity coalesced: the Armenians. When the Greek historian Xenophon marched through these lands in 401 BC, he didn't find Urartians. He found a people speaking a distinct Indo-European language, living in the shadow of the old fortresses, brewing beer and farming the rich soil. For centuries, Armenia was a satrapy of the Persian Empire. But with the arrival of Alexander the Great and the subsequent chaos, Armenia seized its moment. In 190 BC, Artaxias declared independence, founding a new dynasty and building a new capital, Artaxata. The zenith of this new kingdom came under Tigranes the Great, r. 95 to 55 BC. Tigranes was a conqueror. He took advantage of the weakness of Rome and Parthia to expand his borders aggressively. For a brief, shining moment, Armenia was the strongest state in the Roman East. Tigranes conquered Syria, Phoenicia, and parts of Cilicia. He was called King of Kings. He built a new capital, Tigranokerta, and forcibly relocated thousands of people to populate it. But Tigranes flew too close to the sun. He attracted the wrath of Rome. First Lucullus, and then Pompey the Great, marched against him. After a series of brutal wars, Tigranes was forced to surrender his conquests, but he shrewdly managed to keep his crown and his core kingdom. For the next 3 centuries, Armenia became the ultimate buffer state. It was the bone of contention between the Roman Empire and the Persian Parthian, and later Sassanid, Empire. To be king of Armenia meant walking a razor's edge. Dynasties rose and fell depending on whether they leaned towards Rome or Ctesiphon. The culture became a unique synthesis. Persian religion and court customs mixed with Hellenistic art and Roman law. Religion too was a mix. The Armenians worshipped a pantheon of gods that blended Iranian deities like Mithra and Anahita with local traditions. The Temple of Garni stands today as a lonely testament to this pagan past. But the greatest transformation was yet to come. In the late 3rd century AD, King Tiridates III rose to the throne. He was a fierce persecutor of Christians. He famously threw a nobleman named Gregory into a deep pit, Khor Virap, filled with snakes, leaving him to die. Gregory survived in that pit for 13 years, fed secretly by a Christian woman. Meanwhile, according to tradition, King Tiridates went mad. He was afflicted with a lycanthropy, behaving like a wild boar, tearing at his clothes and roaming the forests. The king's sister had a vision. Only the prisoner in the pit could cure the king. Gregory was hauled up, ragged but alive. He prayed over the king, and miraculously, Tiridates was healed, both in mind and body. In 301 AD, more than a decade before the Roman Emperor Constantine even legalized Christianity, King Tiridates III made a momentous decision. He didn't just convert himself, he declared Christianity the state religion of Armenia. This was the first time in history that an entire nation officially adopted the Christian faith. It was a radical geopolitical pivot, separating Armenia from its Zoroastrian Persian neighbors and creating a distinct national identity that would endure for millennia. If these stories, where faith, politics, and survival intersect to forge the destiny of nations, are what you seek, I invite you to subscribe to the Dusty Codex. Your support allows us to continue exploring these pivotal moments in history. But conversion brought danger. The Persian Sassanid Empire, zealous Zoroastrians, viewed this Christian nation as a betrayal. They launched campaigns to force the Armenians back to the old faith. Armenia was in danger of being culturally absorbed. Armenia needed a shield. Not of bronze, but of words. In 405 AD, a monk named Mesrop Mashtot invented the Armenian alphabet. Before this, Armenian was a spoken language only. Scriptures were read in Greek or Syriac. Mashtots gave the Armenians a written voice. The Bible was translated. A golden age of literature began. This alphabet became the anchor of Armenian identity, allowing them to remain Armenian even when their kingdom was conquered. The ultimate test came in 451 AD. The Persian king Yazdegerd II issued a decree. All Armenians must abandon Christianity and worship fire. He sent a massive army, including war elephants, to enforce his will. The Armenian nobles were divided, but one man rose to lead the resistance, Vardan Mamikonian. He rallied a small army of 66,000, monks, farmers, and nobles, to defend their faith. They met the Persians at the Battle of Avarir. The battle was a slaughter. Vardan Mamikonian was killed. The Armenians were defeated on the field. From a military standpoint, it was a total loss. But in reality, it was a moral victory. The Persians realized that while they could kill the Armenians, they could never force them to convert. The resistance was too fierce. The Persian king eventually revoked the edict. Vardan Mamikonian became a saint. The Battle of Avarir is remembered not as a defeat, but as the defining moment of national survival. The Kingdom of Armenia would rise and fall many more times. The Bagratid Kingdom of Ani, the Kingdom of Cilicia. But the foundation laid by Urartu, Tigranes, and Gregory remained. The Urartians gave them the land and the fortresses. Tigranes gave them the memory of empire. Gregory and Mashtots gave them the faith and the language to survive the empires that followed. Modern genetics confirms what the legends hint at. The Armenians are the direct biological descendants of the people of Urartu. The blood of the fortress builders still runs in the veins of the highlands. Today, the Republic of Armenia stands on a fraction of its ancient territory, but it still stands. It is a living museum of resilience. In the heart of Yerevan lies Erebuni, the fortress founded by the Urartian king Argishti in 782 BC, 29 years before Rome was founded. It is a reminder that while empires like Assyria and Rome have crumbled to dust, the heirs of Urartu are still here, still speaking their language and still looking up at the snows of Ararat. The story of Armenia is the story of the victory of culture over power, of the pen over the sword, and of the spirit over the stone. From the darkness of the pit came the light of a nation. The kingdom may be gone, but the nation remains, the oldest Christian country on earth, the enduring legacy of the Iron Age,